Very basic question we want to address today is why we have created this course. Why do we want to teach business law to engineers? Either they are in their student level or they are already working. Why teach business law to engineers?
So, Pallavi, let's see what are the career prospects that or career paths that an engineer can take once he graduates. So, one could be, take up a direct job, work in a company.
Right.
Okay. Another one could be opt for an MBA and then take a job in a company. That would be in a managerial position. And the third could be to start his own business, to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
So in case an engineer wants to be an entrepreneur, I would actually advise him to refer to our entrepreneurs video, on how this course will benefit entrepreneurs.
Okay, I think we'll be sharing it with all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And in case they want to be working as managers or give their MBA, in that case, I think it's very important for a manager to understand, to actually be able to deliver value that is better, that is more in comparison to his peers. There should be something distinguishing, something unique about a manager, so that he can deliver more value to the company. He can be of more value to the management, and he can perform his role better. Right. So a detailed video again is there in the discussion on how this course can help managers. Okay. But the important part is that even if they're planning to pursue an MBA, the idea is that these skills will actually groom them for an MBA.
Okay.
Okay. So when you're actually in an interview for an MBA school, okay, and you actually have studied this course, in an interview you will be able to impress your interviewer. Okay. Because you already have certain skills which even managers sometimes don't have. You have these strategic insights that you learn in this course. And the other thing is that post your MBA, it will give you an added edge compared to the others in your batch.
Let's go back to that. I mean, 9 lakh, close to 9 lakh engineering students graduating every year. Some of them may decide to go for their own venture. Some of them may directly take the leap and enter the MBA classrooms. So we don't count them, they are in a different count altogether. But suppose the remaining ones.
Yeah, so the third category, which is that if you just take up your job directly, okay, how can this course help?
Right.
Now, even in this case, what we've seen is that a lot of consultancies and consultancy firms and accounting firms sometimes directly hire engineers as analysts.
Okay.
Okay, where their entire job profile is to actually figure out what's happening in a particular industry, okay, and suggest ways to maybe improve or suggest ways as to how a company can improve its own processes.
Okay.
Okay. This work is also done by people who've directly been hired as engineers by such firms. So this course will of course help you there, because you've actually understood how a business works much better now after going through this course, because there are a number of practical components which you will know if you go through the syllabus.
For example?
So for example, they will know how a business can optimally structure itself to minimize tax liability. What are the kinds of licenses that are required? How a business can protect and enforce its intellectual property. How it can monetize it.
Okay.
How it can simplify, payment recovery. Because money recovery does not happen for a lot of businesses. They have outstanding bills which are unpaid. Okay. And for a lot of companies, if you just make that process smoother and faster, their cash flow situation will completely change.
Okay.
Okay, so these kind of insights, if you get from this course and if you're able to apply it to your job, it will be a great value add. Now, the other kinds of engineers who are actually recruited for the skill sets they actually possess. So if there's a computer science engineer and he's recruited as a coder, okay, or there's an electrical engineer, he's working with machines.
Right.
Or a mechanical engineer working with machines, or an electrical engineer working on electronic devices.
Civil engineer
in the construction sector.
Yes.
So these people will have to know a civil engineer, I'll just take this example. He'll have to know something about how procurement works, how engineering and procurement construction contracts work. He may have to, it will help him if he knows how the government purchases goods and services. Okay. Or a computer science graduate will want to know how actually to protect his intellectual property, how his codes are protected, or how his company protects his own codes, for that matter. And tomorrow, if he wants to leave the company and start his own business, he'll want to see what his employment agreement is, so that the company does not come after him later on.
Yeah, something like that happened somewhere, you know.
Uh,
Rocket Singh?
Rocket Singh. Yeah.
Right, the same thing happened
Yeah.
here. I'm sure many of the engineers.
So Rocket Singh was, yeah, that was a similar case where an employee was started competing with his own employer after.
Yes, but was it fair like the ending? Was it fair? Is legally that is possible to not to let the same person who has been your employee, that person cannot start the same business in the
So
same
you cannot
industry?
do it infinitely. There is a very narrow restriction that is permissible, and usually post your contract termination, it is very difficult. It is not practical to restrict an employer. A court will not enforce it.
Okay, and the same thing applies to this, employment agreement also.
Right.
If you leave a company before a certain period,
Even lock-ins are not valid unless an organization can demonstrate that they've actually incurred a certain amount of cost on training you, for example. In that case, they can get some compensation, maybe they can claim
but
it.
they have to prove that also.
They have to prove that. It's very difficult.
See, guys, these are the things that you learn when you know your business laws.
Yeah.
Sorry
good
to
example.
go. Yeah, see, a little off track here, but usually what happens when people hear the word law or business laws, they're thinking about contracts. First of all, the minute people hear law, they're thinking black coat
Right.
and going to court. But law means a lot of things in different scenarios. And when you're talking about business world, these small things make a lot of difference to any individual.
Yeah.
And this is what everyone should know, especially if you're going to deal with these things.
So I'll give you another example of a computer science engineer who's been recruited by a tech company. He's making operating softwares for a certain. He's making operating systems for mobiles.
Okay.
And let's say he's working on this. After a few years, when he has worked for a couple of years, and he will be required to actually manage a team.
Okay.
And there will be a time when the company will want to enter into contracts, into licensing deals with other mobile phone manufacturers or these kind of other operators in the mobile phone industry. You may have to negotiate with maybe a telecom service provider for a value-added services, or to just list a product on the app store. Okay. So a lot of times there are specific contracts that they'll have to enter. Now this guy was a coder, okay, but he will have to develop this skill along the way. And unless he has had some prior training, which he won't, unless he goes through something like this that comes along this career journey, he will not be able to perform that role.
Can he hire someone to do it?
It's very difficult to hire someone personally, at least. His organization may have legal consultants. That's also a big if, because a lot of startups and SMEs do not have access to such legal services today. Okay. Which is why if he possessed this knowledge, everyone would have been grateful in his organization.
Unless you're going through an organization which is working at an institutional level, it's institutional.
Unless it's a large corporate.
Reliance and all these companies, these are the institutions.
Yeah.
Unless and until you have reached that level, I don't think many companies have their legal department also. They have one person who will be like an external consultant, legal consultant. And how much role can that person play in your day-to-day activity?
Exactly. What I've seen is that there are huge barriers usually. Even if the company has access to a lawyer, it will not be available for this individual, project manager to consult and get his doubts cleared. He'll have to go through an entire bureaucratic process, and he may not have access to that person. So while he's designing the product, some of these foresights might have actually helped him in directing his team.
True.
So as how to design his intellectual, how to design his functionality for him. A lot of times these things also get affected from strategic insights. He wants to protect certain things from being copied. Okay, and just because he doesn't know how the legal framework works, he could be careless about it.
True.
Okay, and once he knows it, he can actually know what to protect, what not to protect.
That's right. So we are throwing around lots of new terms for people, copyrights, trademarks, legal compliances, and all these things. No, even if you don't explain right now, I think the question that is popping up in everyone's head is, if these are the terms that we'll be dealing with, will we be able to understand the course material?
Oh, of course.
Someone coming from a completely non-legal background, non-business background also. Okay, because we are no longer talking about MBA students.
Correct.
We're talking about engineering segment, where it's everything.
We're not talking about engineers or lawyers. Sorry, not managers, not lawyers, but engineers.
These are engineers.
Yes.
Okay, these are engineers. These are purely technical people. You have got engineering friends from engineering background. I have got friends from engineering background. These are the people who are like very technical.
Yeah.
So the first question that comes in their mind is, will we be able to understand?
Right.
How do you ensure that?
So the materials are written in an extremely simple way. Of course, and if you can actually read your engineering textbooks.
I also have an engineering degree, so yes.
Yeah, you do. So if you can actually, if an engineer can read an engineering textbook, it's not just plain code. There are some English words there. So if you can understand English,
come on up with there. Of course, we can understand English. It's more about the jargons, because the minute people hear the word law, people are thinking legal jargon.
So
you know how lawyers.
I know. Actually, when you think of law, an engineer will just think about cases, sections, and things like that. So we've not laid any emphasis on that. The materials are so simple that they're actually explaining how you can apply it to your real life. There is no use of jargon, and everything has been explained. So the materials are self-explanatory and they stand alone. Like an engineer can go through it and understand it all by himself. He does not need to take the help of a lawyer to understand this.
Okay.
So that's how simple it's been kept. And we've already got a lot of engineers. I think around 5 to 8% of our students are engineers. Okay, or engineering students, and they're actually liking that course.
Yeah, I just read a query. Someone is asking, that person is from a mechanical engineering background. Okay.
Right.
Now, even though we have covered it, but I've got a query, so we need to address it very specifically. Mechanical engineering, how is this course going to help me in my job prospects?
Right. So, I was explaining earlier that, if you're actually, say you're working in a team as a mechanical engineer, right, you're probably building a device, a physical product.
So that person is still a student.
He's still
going
a student.
To graduate, but planning to consider taking up the course, but wants to understand with his mechanical engineering degree, and if he is already part of this course, what difference will it make when he's going for the job interviews?
So, as a mechanical engineer, he could be hired for his technical skill sets. Okay. In addition to that, it always adds. His
name is
value.
Ravi, so I think you can address it.
Okay. So Ravi, as a mechanical engineer, as a mechanical engineering graduate, an employer will look for your technical skills as well as some other skills that you can, any other skills that can add value to his organization, right? So if you know how to negotiate contracts, or for example, how to protect intellectual property of a business, or how information technology works, okay? Or if you know marketing related laws, okay? So that's going to add great value, because in that case, the employer will know that not only will you be good at your job, okay, but you will also be able to take on some other, you will be able to help the organization in other ways, in dealing with vendors, suppliers, key contractors, okay. You will be able to advise the senior management of the organization on their initiatives, on the risks that they may face. Okay. So those are the skills that will really be helpful.
Okay, so Ravi has an extended question. So he's saying that if this course is actually going to be useful, will you be providing any form of placement assistance to us?
Yeah, so there is a fairly detailed placement assistance program in place. We've already provided more than 30 job openings. These have been made available to our existing students and to our alumni network. Okay, and apart from this, there has been a lot of mentoring that has been provided. So whether a student has wanted mentoring on how to write his CV, we even provide them help from Monster.
Yes, we do. We also provide them a lot of one-to-one
personalized feedback, which sometimes which Ramanuj himself provides. Sometimes I look into it or you look into it. Then we've connected them with mentors at various other organizations like incubators, or sometimes an engineer has wanted and helped with respect to his own venture. In which case, we've also connected them with consultants and advisors.
That's true.
So that's the way we actually go about it.
Yeah, and also the kind of database, the kind of student base that we have.
Right.
See, there are entrepreneurs who are at the verge of expanding their businesses.
Yes, yeah.
There are senior management level people who are already working in a company. Then there are different profile of students. There are consultants. There are freelancers. All sorts of people have come together. Then what better place to look for individuals to join your team than the same group?
True.
So we have also, there are many people from our same student base who are already part of the organizations or who have their own business, who are looking for whenever they have a job opening, they're sharing it within the network.
Yeah.
And already happened and people have already joined a particular team while they were still studying in the course. So at the end of the day, yes, there's a responsibility at our end, but a lot of it depends on how much you come out and you interact.
Yeah, so that's a great opportunity for engineers to capitalize on because of the bigger network that this course creates. Because in an engineering college, you would know people who are similarly placed. Here you have around
exactly. Where else can you find 600 plus people across 10 countries?
Yeah.
Where else?
And from completely different profiles and backgrounds.
Exactly.
True.
That's that. So that is all from my end actually. I had already compiled. These were the main questions. We had already covered them.
Okay.
If you want to go anywhere in the specifics, or if you want to share some sample profiles of our students, I know there's a structural engineer, a person with a structural engineer profile. So if you want to take any case-to-case basis and explain how the course can be useful to that person, that's good. Otherwise, I think I'm done from my end.
So I just explained how a coder or a person working on in a technical field relating to computers or software can benefit from this course. Right. Yeah. Apart from that, a lot of engineers want to start up. Okay, and intellectual property issues, information technology, how to create their website, how to get terms of service, how to prepare what should be there in their privacy policy. Okay. Sometimes how payment gateways will work. If they have an e-commerce site or they're taking money over their website, how to structure co-founder agreements. More than 50% of the startups today fail because co-founders leave. Okay, and most startups do not have a way to deal with co-founder agreements.
Wait, this is for engineers who want to start their own venture.
This is for engineers who want to start their own venture.
Okay.
Okay. So these are the kinds of ways in which engineers can benefit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have three segments basically. Engineers directly going to join another company. Yeah. Engineers who are going for MBA after this. Yeah. And then engineers who will be the entrepreneurs of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Abhyuday, what about a researcher, someone who wants to pursue his masters and tech and all? How is this course going to be contributed to that person?
Interesting question, Pallavi. So a lot of research for engineers, is centered. It's quite technical, and usually the papers they end up creating something which can be maybe patented or something. Okay, so there's a lot of intellectual property involved. Intellectual property issues which become important for researchers. Okay. Patents, even trademark becomes important for them because if they want to later on commercialize or monetize their invention, they have to understand a lot about licensing, technology transfer. Maybe they will have to understand. They will have to understand about how to get international protection for their patents. How to brand their product, and then if they actually decide to go that way, then a whole new area of marketing related laws, information technology, and all that opens up.
Okay. Which they don't realize in advance.
Which they don't realize in advance, but these are the likely outcomes of what you will do as a researcher. Okay. Or sometimes you might just realize you're being engaged as a consultant to an organization because of your specialization in a particular area. So they'll give you a consultancy contract and they'll say that okay, intellectual property will as part of this assignment will all belong to the organization and not to the researcher. Right. But a researcher who does not know about how IP works, he will not be able to protect his interest.
Sure.
So that's one example of how this course could help a researcher.
Okay,
or an MTech student.
How is this course going to help a job seeker?
Alright. So there are a number of ways this course can help a job seeker. Okay, one is that it will help him develop additional skills. Okay, because when you're sitting in an interview, okay, you're applying for a job, and everyone's placed the same as you are. Okay, so any additional skill that you have, any strategic or other legal skill that you have, can actually distinguish you from the crowd.
Okay.
That's one way, right? A lot of times, job seekers, engineers want to understand. I'll give you an example. Say somebody is a coder. He wants to understand that when he's actually coding for that organization in a job, will the intellectual property belong to him or the company?
Okay.
If he leaves that job, will he be able to work in the same industry? Will he not? If there is a lock-in or if there is a penalty clause, in case he leaves that job, will that be enforceable?
Okay.
Okay. And what about working in any other organization? What part of the code will this company own? Okay. Can he use these codes? How can he? Can he compete with this company later on?
Okay.
Say you're working for Facebook and you decide to start another social networking site. Can you do that at all? Okay, of course you can't use the same codes, but can you still start a site which competes with Facebook? You know, what if somebody was to say that Twitter competes with Facebook?
Right.
Now they all have their own niche, but still somebody could say that. So these are the questions that are also important for a job seeker to know with respect to his own job.
Okay.
Yeah. Apart from the other ways in which the course will add value to a job seeker's own profile and enable him to, be much better than his peers. Or it will also add value. I had explained earlier how it will actually enable a job seeker, or let's say an engineer who's working, in a company, it will enable him to perform his functions much better, or provide strategic value to the organization. And you know about all these consultancy firms. They will also hire engineers directly after engineering college. Apart from hiring MBA grads, they hire engineers directly as well, as analysts. Okay, so in that case, having these business law insights and entrepreneurship related insights will actually help them, because where they're analyzing company processes or industry-wide analysis are being provided, these sort of insights will make them add more value. They will be more suited for these jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about an innovator? We know engineers because all the time they spend in their own room, in their books and their projects. They are the ones who come out with the most amazing innovations.
Right.
So what about them?
So an innovator usually would know his product quite well, but there is a lot of there is lack of guidance on how to reach out to the market. Okay. An innovator has issues as to how he can raise funds. Okay. How should he deal with an investor?
But how about guarding his innovation?
Exactly.
I think that's one of the most important
intellectual property.
He doesn't want to share it with the world with the basic fear that what if someone else steals this idea or this concept.
Can he get a patent for what he has created?
Exactly.
What are the other ways in which he can monetize what he has created? Okay, how can he raise money? Okay, and how can he protect others from stealing his employees or suppliers or even an investor from stealing the idea? Okay, how to negotiate the investment agreement? How will his business work once he has an investor? And how can he ensure that he's able to make a successful, he's able to exit when later on at the end when there is somebody else buying him off. Okay. It should also happen that all the surplus or the upside is taken off by the investor and he gets nothing. Yeah. So these are the kind of issues which we will discuss in the course, which have been discussed in the course, and this is how it can help an innovator.
Okay. So guys, if you have any more questions, please feel free to send us an email on pallavi@ipleaders.in or give me a call 095-826-30056.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you guys. Bye.